Alright, what's going on, everyone? Happy New Year's to everyone out there. This is being recorded on New Year's. It might be released on January 2nd, but it's being filmed on New Year's. So, this one is going to be a video on my favorite albums of 2024. I wouldn't say this is in any particular order. This is just my favorite albums that I've heard in 2024. And we're combining, the two genres I like the most, punk rock and metal. I've combined them both together here and put 5 great albums that I think you should totally check out if you haven't already. And honestly, 2024 hasn't been too bad for rock music, honestly. We've still gotten some pretty good albums, and the 5 I have on this list are 5 good examples, and there's more out there. I was gonna put Strung Out's Dead Rebellion in this, but I think these albums kind of top that one a little bit more, and I still like Strung Out's new album, don't get me wrong, but these ones definitely are in my top 5 for this year. And first one I'm going to mention here is Body Count's Merciless. Now this one had all sorts of different artists that collaborated in a lot of the songs. They had Joe Bad on here, Corpse Grinder, and even David fucking Gilmour. Yes, David Gilmour actually did a collaboration with Body Count in a different version of Comfortably Numb, which kind of has Ice-T's own verses over his own lyrics over it and everything. It's not really so much a cover. I wouldn't really consider it too much of a cover. It's just kind of a redone version of the song, I'd say, but it is great, and David Gilmour's lead guitar playing over the song is amazing. And it's definitely, he's kept the tone he has over the years and really has mastered his own tone. I love his slow melodic tone that he's always had, in both Pink Floyd and just in general. David Gilmour's slow melodic guitar playing is amazing, and it definitely shows in this song. And I think Ice-T definitely did good with the lyrics in the song too, to make it relatable to a more modern sense. And that's what makes me really enjoy this version of the song too. I like that they did this, and it turned out very well. And this album, man, it's so riff heavy. I love that about this album. The guitar riffs in this album are top notch. And honestly, it might be like my top tier album that I've heard by these guys. Civil War, it's hard to decide between this and Civil War, which one of those two is my favorite albums by these guys, but this album, I gotta say, is one of my favorite Body Count albums I've ever heard, and I definitely recommend checking it out. And of course, they had 1 or 2 songs that went a little political, but it wasn't like, so much towards, blatantly going towards one side or the other like some other artists have done. I don't want to mention any names really, but, there have been some artists that have done this recently that I have not been too big on. I'm usually not fond of having, like a certain agenda you're pushing a certain candidate or whatever, in the music, and it's like, it comes across as, pretty divisive, but like, fuck what you heard. That song I'm talking about in particular, there's a message to that song saying, hey, the two-party system fucking sucks. Let's start getting more people to say it, and a lot more people are starting to say it regardless, I think, and this can relate to a lot of those people, frustration over, how the system's working right now in America. And this album is chaotic, it's aggressive, it's relatable to a lot of people going through struggles in the modern age. This album is awesome. I definitely recommend listening to it. It's one of the best Body Count albums you will probably hear. And another one here we're going to mention is a legacy band, but this legacy band is still putting out amazing music. These guys are in their 70s, still putting out great music. It's not exactly like how their 80s stuff was, but I'd say it's not necessarily a bad thing. It shows their evolution, and quite frankly, if they were putting out stuff that sounded exactly like it did in the 80s, it kind of get boring after a while. But we're talking about Judas Priest's Invincible Shield album. This one is fucking awesome. Man, I've listened to a lot of Judas Priest albums, and man, this one is one of the best modern ones I've heard, if not the best, honestly. The riffs in this album, the guitar in this album is absolutely great. The drummer they've had since Painkiller does an absolutely phenomenal job on this album. Rob Halford's vocals are still there with this. Just, there's so much great things about this album. And I listened to the deluxe edition too, because You know, I try to get the full experience a lot of the time. If, you know, there's a deluxe edition, I'll listen to those bonus tracks and everything. And the bonus tracks even are awesome too. Fight for Your Life is fucking awesome. You know, the riffs in that song again are amazing. You know, this album, like almost every song, like I absolutely love the riffs in them, man. And the production, yeah, it's a bit more modern, of course. It's not going to sound like, you know, British Steel or Screaming for Vengeance did. And those are still amazing albums. Yes, I will definitely still go back to those quite a bit. But this one, I'm going to go back on too. There's so many songs I love on this album, man. Devil in Disguise, Trial by Fire. I mean, so many absolute bangers on this album, man, that I'm definitely going to go back and listen to quite a bit more probably throughout this year as well. And, you know, Judas Priest kind of shows, you know, some of these legacy bands still put out some good music, you know. I know people, you know, like, I don't really want to mention him too much, but Finn McKenzie will trash on a lot of legacy bands, but this album shows that, you know, these legacy bands can still put out some great music, you know. And it's not just them either, you know. Green Day just put out a great album too, and, you know, I may or may not talk about that later in this video, but yeah, Invincible Shield, regardless though, amazing album, you know, start to finish. Like, there's not one skip on this album at all, dude, and I definitely recommend checking this one out. You won't be disappointed for sure if you're big into metal and into Judas Priest, so definitely give this one a listen if you haven't. And another one I'm going to mention here is Heaven and Hell by Sum 41. Now, there's a couple songs on this album that might be a little bit filler, you know, but there's still a lot to enjoy on this one. You know, Waiting on a Twist of Fate's a great one. I Can't Wait. And of course we got a lot of good ones on, you know, the Hell side as well. You know, you had Stranger in These Times and Rise Up, which are both absolutely great ones. You know, Stranger in These Times, it goes really dark, you know, with the riff and everything. I love the riff they have at the beginning. You know, the pull-off kind of riff they do. It just fits the song so well, you know, and it's great to see Sum 41 do riffs like that still, you know what I mean? And Rise Up, I love the solo in that song too they did. You know, Dave is a great guitarist, and, you know, that song really shows it. Honestly, this was a good album I think, to really, you know, end them making music with, you know? You know, because it showed all of Sum 41's influences on their sleeve, you know, with both punk and metal influences, you know. Of course, you got songs like I Can't Wait, and, you know, on the Hell side, of course, you got the songs like Rise Up and Stranger in These Times. And, you know, the cover of Paint of Black wasn't necessarily my favorite, you know, song in this album by any means. You know, it's probably my least favorite song on the record, but, you know, there's still so much great stuff about this one, you know. I mean, you also had, you know, Future Primitive and Johnny Libertine, which are both excellent songs. You know, this album, like I said, great album to, you know, end, I don't know about end their musical career, but, you know, end them, you know, releasing new music with, you know. And, you know, clearly they did this one for the fans, you know, and it was, I think it was the right move for a lot of reasons, you know. And Derek Whibley also released a book, you know, after this album's release called Walking Disaster. I haven't really read it yet, but I definitely plan on maybe finding a place to read it. But, you know, I've listened to this album though, and I wasn't too disappointed, you know. I was actually impressed with this album for a lot of reasons, you know, and I definitely recommend checking this one out. You know, there's a lot to like about this one on both sides of the album, you know. So definitely check this one out if you haven't. And next one I'm going to mention here is Green Day's Saviors, you know. This album definitely shows, you know, compared to their last album, which was my least favorite Green Day album by far, you know. This one was a great comeback, you know. This shows the band can still put out some great songs, you know. They had The American Dream's Killing Me, Bobby Socks, 1981. You know, those are all absolute bangers. Even, you know, the songs like Saviors I really enjoy. And, you know, the song Saviors even, you know, still get stuck in my head, actually, you know. And, you know, I really enjoy it. The American Dream is Killing Me is by far my favorite song on this album. You know, this has some elements like that Revolution Radio had, but, you know, it's done a little bit different where, you know, it's not really so much like a concept album like, you know, Revolution Radio kind of was, you know. And, you know, it's not bad, honestly. You know, they kind of went back to formation with the sound they were good at with this one, because I really don't think they did, you know, the indie rock kind of sound that well with, you know, their last record before this. And, you know, this one is definitely a good comeback for them. You know, they put out The Long Shot too. I think that was a little bit before they put out Father of All, but, you know, I actually liked some of the songs in The Long Shot. It's not my favorite stuff, you know, Billy Joe's been involved with by any means, but, you know, it's still alright. There's still a few songs on there I'll come back to, but, you know, this one, I definitely think, you know, it's a great comeback album for them. And, you know, I definitely recommend checking this one out. You know, if you're looking to give new Green Day, you know, another chance, you know, this is the album for it, I'd say. You know, don't go to Father of All, go to this one. This will show you, you know, Green Day is still capable of making good songs. And final one we got here is Blood, Hair, and Eyeballs by Alkaline Trio. And, man, there's some catchiness to this one, too, you know. Bad Time is a pretty catchy song. Hot for Preacher, I like a lot, too. You know, Broken Down in a Time Machine. Those songs are all amazing, you know. Blood, Hair, and Eyeballs is an alright song, you know. The chorus definitely gets stuck in my head quite a bit to that one, for sure. And, you know, it has quite a bit of a melancholy vibe to it that Alkaline Trio often has. But, you know, it's actually pretty good, you know. It's definitely not by any means their worst stuff at all. You know, it's not their best stuff, I'd say, either, but, you know, it's still a pretty damn good album, honestly. And I actually went to see them play a lot of these songs live when the album came out and they were doing the Blood, Hair, and Eyeballs tour. I went to see them, and they performed these songs actually pretty well, you know, and I enjoyed very much seeing them play Hot for Preacher live. And I love, you know, how the riff is in that song, for sure, how it's not your typical kind of, you know, Alkaline Trio styled riff, but, you know, it just fits very well for the song, you know. And yes, I still enjoy Is This Thing Cursed Better. I love that album so much. You know, it's their best modern album, I'd say, but this one is definitely probably second next to that one for me as of, like, modern Alkaline Trio albums. You know, they've been released since 2010. And yeah, honestly, a lot of their stuff is still worth listening to, you know, including their newer stuff. So yeah, definitely give this one a listen, you know, if you're an Alkaline Trio fan and, you know, you haven't really listened to much of their new stuff. You know, I still recommend checking out Is This Thing Cursed even more, but this one I definitely recommend listening to as well, because this one does have some pretty good stuff on it, honestly, and I really enjoy it, you know. So that's it for this video. Let me know what your guys' top albums are this year in the comments, and if there's any ones I haven't listened to, I'll probably, you know, try to give them a listen, because, you know, of course, I'm always wanting to find new music to listen to. It's kind of just me. I look for new music all the time to listen to, because, you know, I like to expand my musical tastes all the time. So if you guys have any music you want to recommend to me from this year, you know, that you guys think is great, then I'll check it out. And Happy New Year's to everyone. I hope you all had a great 2024, and we're going to ring in the new year of 2025. I appreciate you all for all the support on my channel that, you know, I've gotten over the past year. You know, 2024 has by far been the best year for my YouTube channel, and, you know, it's only getting better. So yeah, more videos to come for sure, but yeah, I will catch you guys later. Peace out.